Hey guys, it's Melanie. Welcome back, or welcome if you are new. I hope you are having a fantastic day. In this video, I want to share another in-depth candle review. Obviously, we're going to be discussing Yankee Candle by the Pool Amber and Coconut. I recently shared this candle in a somewhat small Yankee Candle haul. And when I first stuck my nose into this fragrance, this was actually a blind buy for me. I ordered online. Most of the Yankee candles in my area have now closed, so I'm not willing to drive all the way across the river to pick up the Yankee Candle that is about half hour, 45 minutes from my house here. Honestly, with traffic, a lot of times it would take me like an hour to get to that particular Yankee Candle store. And at that point, I think I'd rather just order online and take my chances. So anyway, placed an order for just a few new to me fragrances. This was one of the ones that I had to pop into my cart because once I started reading through the fragrance notes, I was like, this sounds very familiar to another fragrance that I absolutely adore, but it's a personal care fragrance, or I guess I could say a perfume. It's technically an eau de toilette, but if you are familiar with the Vacation fragrance by the Vacation Sunscreen Company, they have an eau de toilette of their signature fragrance that all of their products smell like, essentially. If you're familiar with that particular scent, you're gonna love this candle, I'm telling you. There are some key differences. I'm not saying that this is an exact dupe, but if you like that Vacation fragrance, I think you're probably gonna be into this Amber and Coconut fragrance. I will definitely compare the two for you when we get into the whole, top, middle, and base notes. I'll kind of differentiate what I think is missing from By the Pool to make it smell maybe a little bit more like the Vacation fragrance. So if you are newer to my channel and you're not already subscribed and you are interested in more in-depth home fragrance reviews, definitely make sure you hit that subscribe button. I have a lot of candles that are ready to go for in-depth reviews. So we're gonna be plowing through a lot of these here over the next few weeks. Okay, let's get started. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up the scent story or blurb. Then I'll read through the top, middle, and base notes. I will then tell you what I smell in this fragrance, and obviously, like I said, compare it to the Vacation Sunscreen Company fragrance, and then we'll get into the overall strength and throw. And as always, we will discuss any burn issues that came up. I will say I am still loving this soy blend formulation. I'm not a huge fan of the labels on this collection. I think they could have done something a little bit, a little bit prettier, maybe something a little more substantial. Honestly, the label feels kind of cheap, but the fragrance itself, not cheap. Loving that part of it. But yeah, the labels overall with Yankee, I really feel like they could maybe use a different graphic designer. I don't know what they're trying to achieve with these new labels, but I don't know. I don't love those as much, but I don't know. I guess I can always put this into a candle sleeve or something if it bothers me that much, but whatever. All right, let's read through this fragrance story. This is a fresh and clean fragrance. After a full day of fun at the club, relax under an umbrella beside the pool with aromas of salted coconut, mineral amber, and just a hint of chlorine accord. Now, if that chlorine kind of freaks you out a little bit, give this one a chance. I'm telling you, it comes across just as really nostalgic and unique. This is one of those fragrances where I would say, take a chance on it. Seriously, it is so good. Okay, so our top notes here are citrus, green, and the chlorine accord. In the middle, we have salted coconut, vanilla bean, and lactonic. At the base, we have violet and mineral amber. All right, so what do I smell in this fragrance? I was certainly curious to see how they would incorporate that amber note. And I have to say, mineral amber is a really good way to put it, because you really do smell that more traditional, like warm resinous amber. But for whatever reason, it smells, earthy isn't the right word. Like, and neither is metallic necessarily. It's a very interesting take on amber, but that's at the base. So let's start at the top. Okay, do I smell any citrus in here? I do. I smell the lightest, smallest touch of just like a hint of grapefruit, which adds a nice little sense of freshness to this fragrance. I actually smell a lot more of the green and that chlorine accord. So the green that I'm smelling here is more of like it's like a cross between a grassy and a leafy green. It's kind of hard to pick between the two because it really does feel like this green note kind of falls in between the two. It's not outright grass, like you would smell on like a tennis court or like a golf course or anything like that. But it's also not just an outright like leafy green note. It's really interesting. It is right between the two there. But what I think is really special about this fragrance, and what almost makes it smell like super nostalgic, is that chlorine accord. I know it sounds really random, but it just kind of takes me back to the 90s. Hanging out, you know, at the community pool with my friends. None of my friends were loaded enough to have their own pool, so we would go to the community pool. And that intense, like, chlorine smell, it just takes me back to the summer. And chlorine is a lot of what you smell in that vacation sunscreen fragrance. Now, what I feel like is missing that specifically I smell in the vacation fragrance when it comes to like the top notes is that at the top of the vacation fragrance, I also got a healthy dose of like a banana, not a really super candied banana, but a nice, just authentic banana note. Also with the vacation fragrance, you smell that like lycra from like the swimsuits. I feel like swimsuits nowadays, I actually just bought a new one for my daughter for the summer, and I feel like they don't have that old school lycra smell to them anymore. Let me know what you think about that. Like, I just really feel like I'm missing that lycra smell, and that is something that is not really present in here. There's like maybe the tiniest hint of it, and that just might be my own brain playing tricks on me here, because I think that chlorine and lycra go so well together, but I don't really get a ton of that here. So that's definitely a key difference between the two fragrances. But let's go into the middle notes, because I feel like this salted coconut note, it's not really an edible coconut. It kind of smells more so like a fresh, I guess you could say, like sunscreen type of coconut note versus like real edible coconut. I think it mirrors the coconut that is used in the vacation fragrance as well. I do get some nice vanilla here. It's not super heavy on vanilla, and the vanilla isn't necessarily creamy. You know what it reminds me of is lately when I've been baking, instead of doing vanilla extract, I've been purchasing vanilla bean paste. And this smells like it has some vanilla bean paste in it. By the way, if you are not baking with vanilla bean paste, no excuses. Go to Trader Joe's. They have a little jar of it for like, I think $5. It's pretty affordable. A little bit goes a long way, and it's more of that like pure vanilla bean flavor versus that slightly boozy note that kind of gets imparted with like a liquid vanilla extract. So as far as the lactonic goes, it doesn't really smell lactonic to my nose at all. I don't get the violet that is mentioned at the base either. There's nothing that is particularly floral about this one. But I do smell that mineral amber note. It's interesting because the amber does have just a slight bit of warmth and a little bit of that like resinous-like smell, if you will, to it. but there is a slightly maybe metallic type of aspect to the amber here. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to say mineral, and saying it smells like rocks and amber doesn't seem quite right, but I feel like maybe metallic is the right word. I really like it, and this type of amber makes a lot more sense than that typical super warm, super resinous, perfumey amber. I think this smells fantastic, you guys. It is missing, like I said, some of those key elements that are in the vacation fragrance, but this is close enough for me to really enjoy this one and to probably want another one before the summer comes to a close here. It's extremely nostalgic for me. It really takes me back to going to the pool with my friends when I was a teenager. It was just, I don't know, I like that feeling. I like the feeling that this candle evokes. Back then, life was a little bit more carefree, you know, didn't have all of these adult responsibilities. And I tell you what, if I could go back, well, I don't know if I would. Listen, middle school, high school, kind of rough. Not sure I'd sign up for that again. But just, you know, some of those like summertime vibes when you were just hanging out and just having fun with your friends, and you smelled that, you know, like pool chlorine, and it was warm out but not too hot. Like, I don't know, this just kind of takes me back. Obviously, 2 thumbs up for just the fragrance itself. Let's dig into the strength and throw next. I do wish this was just a touch stronger. Now, it is definitely a solid 7 in terms of strength. It's a solid, I would say, 6 in terms of throw. I'd like to see this be more of like a solid 8 in terms of strength and throw, but I do think it's performing at an acceptable level for me personally. I usually burn at least 2 candles at a time. Lately, I've kind of been doing 3 at a time, but I do think this is a standout fragrance. In the room where I'm burning this, it is very prominent. You smell it as you approach the room where you're burning it, but it's not overwhelming. It might be a good thing in the case of this particular fragrance to not have it be too overpowering. Maybe that chlorine note could be maybe a little headache inducing for some. But listen, the performance that I'm getting out of this, I'm not mad at it at all. Like, this is a pretty darn good performance here. So if I could get a little more out of it, I think that I wouldn't be opposed, at least personally. But I think where it stands now makes it maybe a little bit more enjoyable by a broader range of individuals. So a nice medium performance, but definitely not medium plus. Let's talk burn quality. I gotta say, their new soy blend formulation is so much better than my experience with the paraffin back in the day. If you are newer to my channel, I actually stopped buying from Yankee when it was right around the time that we moved into this house in April of 2018. Once I knew what it was going to cost to repaint this house, I knew that I was only going to be able to do it once. My husband was not going to go for that multiple times over during our time here. So I knew that I had to be pretty careful with my burning habits, and that if there were any messy candles, that I would have to crock them or pop them underneath a lamp. I have yet to really feel like I need to do that with the Yankee Candle soy blend formulation. This has not had any sooting or discoloration form on the sides of the jar. I feel like you can see them quite well, but let's go ahead and do the overhead shot anyway. This has had a pretty clean burn. The only thing that I find really interesting about the soy blend formulation is this interesting pattern that forms at the bottom of the wax pool. You can kind of see it from the side as well. It's just like this interesting, I'm not sure what causes that, but you can see some of those carbon balls that have fallen off and into the wax. I don't love the way that looks. These particular wicks are quite strong. They're not weak. They do form some small like mushroom tops or carbon balls, as you can see right there. I feel like you have a pretty good look at like how large they get. This has been lit, by the way, for just about 2 hours at this point. I typically have been burning these candles for, I don't know, like 3, sometimes 4 hours, and have had no issues with that. My biggest complaint is those carbon balls falling into the wax and then me having to fish them out. I really don't love the way that those look in the wax, but sometimes I'm like, yeah, whatever, I'll let it go. But yeah, like I trim the wicks ever so slightly before each burn. I wipe the wicks down with a paper towel, and I've had no issues. Like I said, there's no sooting, there's no discoloration of the wax. The fragrance hasn't changed at all. It has been very consistent in terms of strength and throw, no complaints. Anyway, guys, that is my review of the amber and coconut from Yankee Candle. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments down below. Subscribe if you are new, give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Toodaloo.